We're talking about the end of chapter 6 and the beginning of chapter 7. The end of chapter 6 is talking about the SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis allows owners to identify new markets and prepare for any perceived downturns or competitions. It is made up of the strengths and weaknesses of the internal environment and the opportunities and threats in the external environment. A business's vision explains what the business is striving to become. Their mission statement defines the present business scope and broadly describes the organization's present capabilities, focus, and activities. Clear definition of your mission statement enables you to design results-oriented objectives and strategies. Objectives are the purposes, goals, and desired results for the businesses and its parts. And there are certain internal resources in small businesses. Human resources are the personnel that make up the workforce. Physical resources are the buildings, tools, and equipments and services that are needed to make the business run. Financial resources are the cash flow, debt capacity, and equity available to the business. Operational planning starts with setting policies, methods, and procedures and budgets, which together form the basis for operational planning and methods.
Hey, my name is Kawane Krainski. I'm part of Group 2, and I'll be talking about pages 134 to 138 of Chapter 6. My part starts talking about an important concept that must be analyzed by all businesses, which is the process of determining the best market approach for the company. The sales volume of a company depends a lot on the marketing strategy used. In other words, if research shows that there's a good enough market for that product, plans must be made to capture enough of the market. In addition, the book also cites the establishment of an efficient record system, which is basically the way the company uses simple records and information systems to help control the business. This control and storage of data is necessary for the successful functioning of the company. Then the book comments on financial planning, which is going to be the focus here. Financial planning basically involves determining what funds are needed, where they can be obtained, and how can they be controlled. For this purpose, the book set out 3 principles that serve as the foundation for a company financial planning to function efficiently. The first action cited by the book that must be done is estimating income and expenses. For both small and large companies, the balancing the financial part is essential. When a new company enters the market, it needs to estimate a scenario to determine the profit or loss of the operation for its new business. For this to happen, a market study must be carried out. We can think the situation like when you're gonna move to a new place. You have to know if it's gonna be good or bad for you. You're gonna have pros and cons, and you have to know them. In this situation, it's like the business owner has to know how much is gonna be profit and how much is gonna be loss, and he needs to study the market to figure out which is gonna be the best for him. The second concept is to stimulate initial investment. We can define this process as a preparatory financial planning so that the owner knows how much capital will be used. For example, you need money or credit to start your business because you have to buy new items. It's just like whenever you go to you build a new house, you need to buy furniture, you need to buy stuff for your new house, and you know that, so you have to have an idea of how much you're gonna spend to be able to start your new house. The worksheet in figure 6.6 page 137 provides a logical method of calculating the initial cash needs of a new business. That figure helped me to understand better the second concept, and it must be helpful for you too. The last but not least process is locating source of funds. Once the amount of funds needed is known, you must find source for those funds. 2 types of source from which to obtain these funds to start and operate a business will be the focus here. The owner and the others. These two examples will be better discussed in the next chapter, but they are extremely important for the financial planning, so we'll have to talk about it here. Some small business owners prefer to invest only their own capital, their own money in personal funds, and not borrow from the others to start the new business. On the other hand, there are several sources of outside funds. These can be generally divided into equity investors who actually become part owners of the business, and lenders who provide money for a limited time at a fixed rate of interest. Furthermore, microloans are small short-term loans provided by the SBA through intermediaries and are also an option for outside investors. Basically, whenever you're going to start a new business, you need investment and you need to put money on it. So you can invest your own funds, your own capital, or you can try to get loans for other people, outsiders, and they're like different types of outside investors. Both situations can be risky. Investing your own money it's gonna be a risky situation since you're not sure if the company is gonna be successful, and getting money from others is also a risk process. So the business owner has to figure out which is gonna be less risky and safer for him. And well, that was my part. That was what my page talked about. I hope it was helpful. Thank you.
A business starts with a good idea for producing and selling a product and the ability to carry out the idea. But there are other things you need to start a business, such as buildings, machines, and human resources. All of these needs a plan and needs to be formalized into a business plan. A business plan is a formal plan prepared to serve as a tool for attracting the other components of the business formation package, including people and money. The purpose of the business plan is to keep you on track and concentrates your power at reaching your goal. A business plan should include the following things. There are 6. The first one is the expected market for it. Then financial aspects, marketing policies, a product, the strengths and weaknesses of the industry, and finally, production methods. You prepare a business plan by doing the following things. The first one is recognizing the business current status. Then, developing the firm's mission and setting objectives. And finally, determine how to get where you want. Who should prepare the plan? If there is only one person, he should prepare the plan with advice or some advisories. But if the business is run by more than one person, it should be a teamwork. Then, developing action steps. The focus of the plan should be on future developments for the business, with steps set up deal with specific aspects, such as marketing, production, or operations. Some questions that are useful in developing action steps are the following. Who will be responsible for each course of action? What are the barriers to achieving the objectives? And finally, how can those barriers be overcome?
So I will be talking about chapter 6, pages 144 to 148. I start with the cover sheet. The cover sheet presents identifying information such as the business name, address, and phone number. Also, readers should be able to recognize from the cover sheet what the principles of the business plan are. Executive summary. In this one, you must attract the reader. It's a brief explanation of the most important part of the document, and it must show credibility, plausibility, and integrity. It should be done after you are done with the whole business plan, and it should include the ownership and legal form of the business. Next is the description of the business. Here is where give all the information about your business. You must include the functions, products, and services of your firm. Here you must think as the owner and the customer so that you can explain better what the business is. After that is the description of the market. In this can be very challenging, but you must talk about the market you will target. You must think about what the customers buy, what the competitors do, and what your target will be so that your marketing efforts are worth it. Next is the description of the product. here you will describe the product, of course, or desired product you will have. You must also talk about the legal aspects like copyrights and patents, and if necessary, and any research and development on the product should be also included. After that is management and structure. Here you will explain the structure and the expertise of your management team. You can show how they will help execute the business plan, and most important, it will show the business and the dedication of the owner and management staff. After that is the objectives and goals. Here you will explain the plan for what you want to accomplish. You must also explain how you will accomplish your objectives, when, and who will be involved. Pricing, profits, how the product will be distributed is something important too, and it should be included as well. And this can also attract potential investors and help the business. Then we have financial data. In this part, you will also show possible lenders or investors why is it good to invest in your business by showing them the expected financial return. You will also make assumptions about competitors, decisions, and future market conditions. A budget plan is also necessary in this part. Then we have presenting the plan. The way you present the business plan is important as making it. So investors sometimes decide from the first 5 minutes of reading the business plan if they should invest or not. So the business plan has to be really good so that in 5 minutes you can convince those investors that the business plan that took 5 months to write is actually good. Then on the writing side of the plan, when writing the business plan, it is important to be honest, to use transitional words, use short and simple words, and use visuals such as graphs and tables. Once you're done, it is very important for outsiders to review it so that you can get a different perspective. Then we have the written and oral presentation. In the oral presentation, you will be presenting in front of the investors or lenders. So you will need to have a good set of skills since they will be looking at you and they will see what kind of person you are, and that will reflect on the business. So whatever they see you, that's how you're going to represent the business. A good real world example is Wayland. So they created a business plan. They showed it to investors and lenders and showed the goals that Wayland was looking to achieve. And then also Wayland, based on this business plan, they care about how every staff member and student represents Wayland and how they work, and they show on that business plan how every staff member works towards the success based on that business plan.
At the beginning of chapter 7, it talked about how to obtain the right financing for your business, talked about estimating financial needs. You need to choose a financial planner that is appropriate for your needs. There's no universal method for estimating startup costs for new businesses. It is important to set aside money for emergencies, unexpected expenses, and personal support for up to 18 months. An important tool that small business managers use to project working capital is a cash budget. And a cash budget helps the manager predict financing needs and plan accordingly. Some people use debt financing, which comes from lenders that will be repaid at a specific interest rate within an agreed upon time span. One type of debt financing that is very popular is leasing facilities and equipment from someone outside the business instead of buying them. And that's all I have.
Hi, I'm going to be talking about the sources of equity financing. As we all know, every organization needs funds to function, and it does so by raising capital. When the capital is raised by the sales of shares of the enterprise, it is termed equity financing. Equity financing is a common way for businesses to raise money by selling shares in the business. This differs from the debt financing, where the business secures a loan from the financial institution. Equity financing is typically used as seed money for business startup or an additional capital for established businesses wanting to expand. It is normally obtained by selling shares of the business in the form of common stock. Equity financing not only involves the sales of equity shares, but also include the sale of other equity instruments like common shares, preferred stock, and many others. Once the company determines its funds requirement, it must look for different sources of equity financing. One of the sources of equity financing is the self-funding. Self-funding is often the first step in seeking finance. It involves funding from personal finances and your business revenue. Investors and lenders will expect some self-financing before they agree to offer you finance. The next one is the angel investors. They are wealthy individuals who put their money in businesses that have the potential to generate higher returns in the future. They bring money to the company by purchasing a stake in it. Apart from money, these investors bring their skills, knowledge, and experience to the business that help the company in the long run. Next is the venture capital. They are investors who invest in businesses that are expected to grow at a rapid pace and have the potential to list on the stock exchange in the future. Venture capital is also termed private equity finance. The venture capital purchases a larger stake in the company in comparison to angel investors and thereby bring more capital to the business. There are other sources of equity financing, and these are the business incubator and the BARTER. Business incubators are establishments that specialize in helping startups get going. They use their consideration, financial, and industrial powers to help new businesses with funding, provide networks, and coaching. Some even offer their administrative, accounting, legal, and other departments to help newcomers grow their businesses. Incubators offer several other services, amenities, which include physical workspace, proof of concept, market testing, business setup, and manufacture product or software assistant. For instance, if you had a new tech idea that requires more than one programmer or multiple language and platform skill, an incubator could assist by providing a team to help bring the new technology or software to life much faster and more efficient than a single coder and maker could do on their own. The next one is the BARTER. The BARTER consists of two or more companies exchanging items of roughly equal value. We all do this. Back in the days, this is a common thing that people do, especially in my country. Barter trade was something common, and people exchange goods to goods that are like same value. And also, I think it's still happening over here in today's world that we live in, because I quite remember going to a store that they have clothes, and they sell. It's a clothing store. It's called the Plateau Closet. They have you bring clothes that you don't use anymore or that are new and you bought them but you never use them. You take it there and they exchange it for money or for other clothes that you like over there. For these topics particularly, I'm focusing on where you take the clothes and you trade it for clothes that you like from there of the same value. Yeah, that's it.
Hello, my name is Asia Ray. I'm in Group 2 and I'm covering pages 178 through 182. I'm going to start with commercial banks. Commercial banks are financial institutions that allow basic services to small businesses. They have checking account services, they provide loans and encourage deposits. Note that commercial banks are ideal for small borrowers. Also, if you're banking with Wells Fargo, you receive commercial bank services. Next is credit cards. So people in their everyday life use credit cards, right? So however, if you are starting a business and have excellent credit, but maybe a little bit too broke to propel yourself forward, credit cards can help finance that business. Insurance companies. Insurance companies are a good source of funds because of real estate ventures, which are limited liability companies, partnerships, and etc. However, insurance companies now ask to buy an equity share in that business. seller financing. This gets rid of a third party, meaning the seller handles everything instead of the financial institution, which allows buyers to have a cheaper and faster closing process. Next is Small Business Administration, which is also SBA. The main function of the SBA is to aid firms who need help finding financing. Unfortunately, SBA loans are difficult to get approved. So on the other hand, if you do obtain an SBA loan, it comes with a couple of benefits, such as promises on loans by provider lenders, and also offer specialized financing. Special business or small business investment companies give venture capital to businesses that are socially and economically at a disadvantage. It is provided through an open market financing. Guaranteed loans. The SBA warrants 30 to 40% of long-standing loans to small businesses. You can use these loans to buy land, buildings, and equipment, provide working capital, refinance existing debt. You should already have a business plan with profit loss projections for 3 years, resumes for key managers and owners, and outlines showing how the loans will be used. Around 3 years of historical financial statements and personal financial statements for each year or for every year, and finally, a proposed collateral structure if you want to expedite the process. The SBA looks for 3 things. The first thing is you have to have the ability to manage, and have experience in the field of operations. You will need to have a simple yet practical business plan, and you must have the ability to pay back your loans. Specialized programs. There are 4 specialized programs mentioned in the textbook. The first is a government contract that is awarded to small disadvantaged business subcontractors. They also provide counseling and bond assistance. The second is the SBA Low Documentation Loan Program that is used for loans less than $100,000. It is important for the borrower's credit history, estimate cash flow, and character. Third is a revolving line of credit initiative, aka CAP line, for the purpose of helping the small companies gain short-term work capital through a line of credit. Lastly, the Women's Pre-Qualification Loan Program, which allows business owners to get pre-qualification for the SBA for a loan up to $250,000 before going to a bank. Small business investment companies. These companies also make qualified loans, meaning they match each dollar a SBIC puts into a loan. It may be a loan or a stock purchase, which is a combo that is preferred. What are lenders looking for? Understand that you need to make sure you have yourself together, because they will want to know everything about you. They need to see that you have a good track record. They need to know if you can live within the income of the business, if you can repay your loans, how much you can pay how much you can pay upfront just in case you have difficulty repaying. You also need to be able to explain how you will be better if they see that you have problems with an already existing business. They also need to see your new business plan. To sum it up, they want to see if you have the ability to keep the money, be able to make money, and pay back the money you borrowed. Side note, if you got a 420 credit score, I wouldn't go to a lender. Thank you.